bank robberies. I mean, there's just something about them, right? It's like this crazy mix of danger and excitement, all that planning, all that risk. I don't know about you, but they always kind of grab my attention.
It's the intrigue, I think, the idea of outsmarting systems and pulling off something so audacious.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, we've all seen the movies, heard the stories, but today we're looking at bank robberies through a pretty unexpected lens, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, an English language learning podcast, believe it or not. They had this dialogue about a bank robbery, and I thought, okay, this is interesting.
a language lesson. It's a curious starting point. What led you down this particular rabbit hole?
Well, I was thinking about how we're always talking about, learning from different sources, finding those unusual connections, and then this popped up and it just clicked. It's not just about the vocabulary, although we'll definitely get into that. It's more about the bigger picture. What can this seemingly simple dialogue tell us about strategy, planning, even human psychology?
So we're going beyond just the language itself. We're looking at the deeper implications of how that language reflects real-world actions and thought processes.
Exactly. And you might be thinking, wait, what can I actually learn from a bank robbery dialogue in an English lesson? And that's the cool part. We're going to break it down. We're going to unpack the vocabulary, the phrases. And the crazy thing is this dialogue, it's actually inspired by a real bank robbery.
Intriguing. So it's a fictionalized scenario, but rooted in a genuine event.
Yeah, it's wild, right? We're going to get into all that. But first, let's zoom in on a phrase from the podcast preview. Filling in, like when someone takes over for someone else.
Like Danny might be filling in for Marco in the podcast. I think I remember that from the intro.
Yeah, so filling in, it's a pretty basic idea. Think about it. How often do you have to fill in for someone at work? Or maybe you filled in for a friend who needed help with something.
All the time, really. It's one of those phrases that's surprisingly versatile. It pops up in so many different contexts.
Right. So in this bank robbery dialogue, they've got these characters, Mr. Rabbit and Mr. Fox, and they're getting instructions from their boss. And even just from this short conversation, you can tell this is some seriously meticulous planning.
You can practically feel the tension, the anticipation in their words. It's like a glimpse into the pressure cooker of a high-stakes operation.
Totally. The boss, he's like, all right, here's the deal. You're going to be wearing replica uniforms. So not the real deal, but copies of what the actual security guards wear when they're transporting money. Then he's like, tell the bank staff you're filling in for Carl and Tom. See? There it is again, filling in.
And the seamless way they're integrating that phrase, making it part of their deceptive strategy. It's fascinating how language can be used to create a convincing facade.
Oh, yeah. And he keeps hammering this point. Act natural. Everything has to look routine, like just another day at the bank. But here's where it gets really clever. They have a whole plan for phone calls.
Because there's always the risk of someone trying to verify their identities.
Right. So get this. The boss is like, the bank's phones are tapped, meaning they're secretly listening in. Any calls that come through will patch them through to me, and he's going to impersonate someone from the security company.
That's impressive. They're anticipating potential obstacles and creating solutions to maintain control of the situation.
Totally. And at one point, one of the guys even says, "You're clever, boss." It really makes you think about what makes a plan clever, especially when it's, not exactly legal.
It's an interesting question. To me, a clever plan often involves a deep understanding of how things work, the ability to anticipate potential problems, and of course that element of surprise or ingenuity that throws people off guard.
And then there's this line, don't get greedy, just take what fits in the bags. I mean, it's a robbery, but even then, they have to set limits.
It's a reminder that even in situations where the rules are seemingly being broken, there's still a need for internal controls, for discipline, to avoid jeopardizing the whole plan.
All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about some of the specific words and phrases that the podcast highlighted, starting with replicas. The English pod explained that they're basically copies, not the real thing. They gave examples like the Eiffel Tower in Vegas.
Or replica watches. There's an entire industry built around recreating objects, often with remarkable precision.
It's pretty crazy when you think about it. Have you ever been fooled by a really good replica? Makes you wonder how much of what we see is actually the real deal.
It blurs the lines between authenticity and imitation, doesn't it? It forces you to consider the value we place on originality versus the practicality of a well-crafted copy.
Okay, next word, tapped. Like we said before, it means secretly listening in on phone conversations. They mention that sometimes the police do this in real life, which, I mean, we've all seen that in movies, right?
Yeah, it's a common trope in crime dramas, and it raises interesting questions about surveillance and the balance between security and privacy.
Then there's patch through, which is basically connecting a call to a different line. Like when you're calling a big company and they transfer you to another department.
It's like creating a detour for the conversation. And in the context of this robbery, it's all about controlling the flow of information, making sure everything goes according to plan.
All right, another word they talked about was clever, like we were discussing before. The boss in this dialogue is called clever. What do you think makes a plan clever, even if it's not exactly ethical?
I'd say a clever plan has that element of surprise, right? It utilizes unexpected tactics. It might exploit a loophole that nobody else noticed. It's a combination of ingenuity and careful planning, all working together to achieve a specific goal.
Makes sense. And lastly, we've got greedy. The boss was very clear, don't get greedy, just take what fits in the bags.
It's funny because the podcast hosts, they even joked about not being greedy with cake. It's a simple concept, but I think it applies even in a bank robbery. It's about restraint, isn't it? It's recognizing that sometimes wanting too much can lead to bigger problems down the line.
So true. Okay, now let's dive into the phrases from the podcast's Fluency Builder section, all about planning, which honestly feels appropriate considering we're talking about a bank heist, right? First up, mapped out.
A great phrase.
The boss says, I've carefully mapped this out. It means having a super detailed plan, every step figured out in advance. Like when you plan a trip, you map out the route.
Exactly. Or if you're organizing a big project, you might map out all the different tasks and deadlines. It's about creating a clear roadmap to follow, minimizing the potential for surprises.
Yeah, it's all about having a strategy, right? Speaking of potential surprises, the next phrase is screw it up or just screw up. It's pretty casual, but it basically means to make a mistake.
And they use it in the dialogue, right? Don't screw it up, Mr. Rabbit. There's a certain urgency to it, a warning that the stakes are high.
Yeah, like one wrong move and the whole thing falls apart. The podcast hosts even talked about screwing up during their recording, which I think we can all relate to, right? Making mistakes is part of life.
Definitely. It's a good reminder that even with the best planning, things can go wrong. It's about being adaptable, learning from those mistakes.
Our last phrase for this section is lose your cool. Like when you get flustered or angry or impatient, the boss says, don't lose your cool. I guess in a stressful situation like a robbery, staying calm is super important.
Absolutely. Losing your cool can lead to rash decisions, mistakes that could have been avoided. It's about managing those emotions, keeping a clear head even under pressure.
And this is where things get really interesting. Ready for this? The bank robbery dialogue. It's based on a real bank robbery.
No way. So they took inspiration from an actual event.
Yeah, they explain how this guy dressed up as a security guard, complete with fake ID and everything, walked right into a bank with his partner, filled up bags with cash, and drove off. And get this, the bank didn't even realize they'd been robbed for hours. It wasn't until the real security guard showed up that they were like, wait a minute.
That's incredible. It's like a real-life heist movie. And the fact that they managed to pull it off without any violence, it's a testament to the planning and the audacity involved.
And they got away with a ton of money, over $500,000. It's mind-blowing. It really makes you think, right? This seemingly simple English lesson has this whole crazy backstory.
It's a great example of how language can reflect reality in unexpected ways. This bank robbery, with its clever tactics and unexpected twists, became a framework for teaching English.
So for our listeners out there, what do you make of this? We started with an English lesson about a bank robbery, and we ended up uncovering this whole real-world story of deception and ingenuity. It makes you wonder what other seemingly ordinary things around us might have these hidden layers, these fascinating stories just waiting to be discovered.
It highlights the power of observation, doesn't it? The ability to look beyond the surface and find those unexpected connections.
And it shows how understanding basic language, those everyday phrases, can open up whole new worlds of understanding. This wasn't just about learning new vocabulary. It was about seeing how language plays out in real-world situations, from planning and strategy to managing emotions under pressure.
We talked about mapped out, screw up, lose your cool. These are phrases we use all the time, but now they have this extra layer of meaning, this connection to a real-life event.
And the vocabulary, too, filling in replicas, tact, patch through, clever, greedy. These words, they're not just abstract concepts anymore. They're a part of a real story, a story that played out with real consequences.
It's a reminder that language isn't just about words. It's about the stories we tell, the way we communicate ideas, the strategies we use to navigate the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm curious, what's something you'll take away from this conversation? Something to ponder, something that maybe sparked your curiosity?
For me, it's the reminder that inspiration can be found in the most unexpected places. Even a simple English lesson can hold the seeds of a fascinating real-world story.
I love that. And for me, it's the power of language. how it can reflect reality, shape our understanding, and even inspire us to think differently about the world around us. So, for our listeners, maybe this will encourage you to listen a bit more closely to the conversations you have, the information you encounter. You never know what hidden depths or surprising connections you might find.
Who knows what stories are waiting to be uncovered, right?
Exactly. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep learning.
And keep an eye out for those unexpected connections. You never know where they might lead you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.